So on today's episode, some of us from the team are going to share a few of our learnings from last year and a few of our goals and intentions for 2023. And so if you haven't met me before, my name is Steve Perkins. I'm the founder and the CEO of Greenhouse Coaching. Also Sunday Marquardt, who is the head of coaching and development at Greenhouse, and Jacqueline Dugan, who is the experience and client manager at Greenhouse. We might pick on Joe as well. Joe Wise is our engineer and producer for the podcast, for our YouTube channel and a bunch of other stuff. And we just wanted to share some actual specific examples of some of our learnings, some of our goals, and maybe it inspires or sparks a thought for you. We talked a lot over, right before break and over the break about how we live in the world of goals. So we kind of think they're like outdated and annoying. But then I'm always reminded when I hear other people talk and see stuff on TV, it's like, no, goals are still and always a thing. And I like them too. I think it just almost feels like, do we still talk about goals?
Now that you're saying that though, I wonder if it's just that we feel it's not that they're outdated and dull. It's that we're annoyed by hearing other people's goals, which is what we're about to do. You know what I mean? Because maybe that's sometimes annoying too. It's because
I like hearing other people's goals.
Well, I do too, but maybe sometimes people don't like that hearing because maybe they're not a goals person. See, I could go in a big vortex here.
I think it's just us. So let's share our goals.
All right.
Well, you wanted to share some learnings too.
Yes. Did you peeps prepare for some learnings?
Yes. I did.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I learned 365 things. I learned.
Oh my God, we're gonna sit
so
here.
Here they are.
Every day. Love that.
Well, I'll start with our my greenhouse one, which is probably I think there's a trend. There's trends going on in general that kind of relate to this learning, but I think people are tired of their screens. And after, especially people who had to work remotely for years, people are just kind of tired of their screens and they're craving in-person interactions. And I kept hearing reports and post-COVID studies saying that, and I didn't believe it at first. I was like, no, they don't. Everyone's saying, oh, I love working from home, or no one's like actually getting out and doing stuff. But I think for me, my learning with Greenhouse was just looking at how things worked for us. It was like the steady decline of people being able to engage in coaching stuff on their own. And so for me, the learning was like, oh, we got to introduce some more like in-person elements, which we'll talk about more in the coming episodes, but we're going to add a new thing this year, which is our first in-person Career Sweetspot workshop for people to like be there together and have that community and have that interaction and to do things together in person. So I'm like, oh yeah, now I see it. Now I get it. Cause I'm feeling really excited about that too.
Well, when you shared that learning with me, I also I really just pondered it and talked about it to all of the coaches as well. And we all agreed that even in person, we have to revisit how people even want to gather.
Yeah.
It just feels like something has shifted. So that's kind of attached to that learning that I would like to just spend some time really thinking, how do people want to actually, when they say they want to know each other, what does it mean?
Yeah.
It's just different. And we can't keep comparing it to the past.
Right. We ran some workshops and afterward you said it was so insightful. You were like,
They're
we're
dead.
still trying to do it the way we did it before and things have changed.
Things have changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's good. It's good. Wow. Is that my turn?
it was your turn.
Well, it's interesting. This wasn't a learning that I wrote down, but kind of going off of those, something that I felt like I learned this year on a similar note in my role of being a little bit more behind the scenes is really how do we engage with people online? People are still online, but I think the way that we engage online also looks different. And so like one of the changes we are working on implementing is, and I think is a continual learning, is even just how we like write our emails, how we show up on social media. And I think in general, it's more bite-sized and hopefully a little bit warmer and gives a little bit more of the greenhouse personality. So I thought that was an interesting shift, whereas like in years past, we would maybe write longer form content. And I still think that there's room for that, but I think maybe not as much so. I think the more we can give people bites of our content, the better. So that was an interesting learning.
Yeah.
Well, one of my learnings actually came from this great class that I'm taking on executive coaching. And it was a real challenge for us to dig in and think, well, what is what makes you most excited in terms of talking to clients? And so many, because I really love variety, as you do, Steve. But I really this year have fallen in love with coaching leaders of a pretty much newer company, like 3 to 5 years, and they have about 50 to 60 people or 30 to 60 people, and they're just growing, and they're trying to decide, what do we want our company culture to be? I am just like that, like it just lights a fire. It's so exciting to me when they're eager to make a wonderfully healthy company. That's my I just maybe didn't realize when I had reflected on it how much. So I learned that that's a sweet spot for me.
Yeah, it is a sweet spot for you. I see you come alive in that context. And I also enjoy it. So I know how exciting it can be when it's like, it really matters for that company at that stage.
Yeah.
For that leader, there's the whole adage of like, the leader has to grow faster than the company. If you are not personally growing at the rate or greater than the rate the company's growing, that's when things crumble. So it's like, it really matters for them, the leader, the point leader, and the organization. And like, the growth means success breeds more problems. So there's like actually a lot of stuff to get in place, a lot of stuff to solve for, versus the like, big old established company where it's a kind of bureaucratic and it's hard to even make one tiny decision.
It's
or
harder
the super
to make
startup
change.
that's like, they don't even have time or money to talk.
No, they're just dying.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. One of mine is, one of my learnings was just about like moving my body more. And I just feel like I learned so much about my health this year, and it had nothing to do with, like, I got better and more consistent at exercising for sure, more than I ever have in my life. But the learnings were actually more about like my gut health and my moving my body during the day. I realized that so many issues I have come from this life I've had for years and years of like sitting at a laptop all day, or eating like inflammatory foods. And it was like some of the basics stuff. I mean, I know a lot of people are talking about these things, but I think it stood out to me as a learning, because it was like, gosh, these are such basic things, but the impact, I didn't realize how big the impact was in a bad way. That was a big learning for me.
Yeah. Another learning for me, I have this journal. It's called a 1 line a day journal. Do y'all have you seen those?
Yeah.
So it's basically like over 5 years, there's like a section every day. So like, for example, there's like January 1st, and then you can fill in like the year that it is. And then there's enough spaces to do it for 5 years, but it's small, it's like a handheld journal. And I think I like got it on Amazon. And so I started it last year because one of my friends has used one for a long time and she really likes it. And so I started it last year, and for the most part kept up with it for the whole year. And I was listening to a podcast where the host also uses that journal, and she read back through each of her lines to like pull out some like learnings and
wait, but this is like your biggest fear.
I know. No, that's literally what I was just about to say. To the listener, I was telling Stephen Sunday, I really don't like reading old journals. There's something very vulnerable about it. And I'm like, you know what? Like I said that I needed to get it out of my system. We don't need to like read it again. We don't need to do that. But then I was like, there's something interesting about like just 1 line a day. Like how vulnerable could I have been in 1 line a day? Like how dramatic could I have been? Well, there were some days I was a little dramatic, but it was interesting as I was reading back through. There were several themes personally and also for greenhouse. And one of the greenhouse ones that came up that I'm honestly shocked by, because we've talked about this a little bit on the podcast, are personal core values. And actually, we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a few weeks here on the podcast. But I know y'all have both mentioned, or at least I know for you, Steve, like collaboration is a value. And I would say that isn't like my top value, but that theme came up so much in this journal of like, it was either a hard day for me when I wasn't collaborating with y'all and I wasn't with y'all, or it was a very good day, or I felt really energized when I was in the office with y'all and collaborating with y'all. And so that was just so funny to me, because I don't think I would like inherently think that, but clearly I do my best work, at least in this season of my life, when we're all in the office together.
Yeah.
So that was a good one.
I just feel just a little bit of love there.
That's cool. Yeah, to me, it's a good example of why that kind of self-reflection, coaching, noticing matters because, you wouldn't have labeled yourself that on the surface. I probably wouldn't have either. Like, if you asked me, like, what are Jacqueline's values? I wouldn't go straight to collaborator, but when you mention what you just did, I'm thinking back, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And it's maybe also because collaboration is one of those kind of buzzwords. It's lost its meaning. It means different things to different people, and you're calling out like a specific facet of that that really matters for you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, my next one, I don't actually know. I was having a hard time deciding how to describe it, but I would just say that the first thought that came to my mind was that 2022 was just too much. Too much.
Yeah.
And so breaking that down a little bit was that I didn't like as much work as I did. And I'm saying this to my work colleagues, but what I mean is really what I mean is I took some outside stuff too, and it didn't bring joy. So even though it brought in extra money, it didn't bring joy, and it actually made me unhealthy. It made me a little unhappy and grumpy sometimes, and it just was too much. So I do not want to repeat that in 2023.
I don't want you to either.
I know.
I just spend a lot of time traveling with Sunday, grumpy Sunday.
Grumpy
Just kidding. We laughed a lot. But I know what you mean.
Yeah,
that's
it was too much.
That's a good one. My third one was, you guys, picking 3. This is the hardest thing ever for us.
I know this. Because we learn so much.
And lists.
Right.
We're learners.
We're learners.
Okay, so my third one was around marriage because that was one of my big themes or intentions for last year. And I had so many in this category. It's insane. But I was trying to think of like a big one that was very much all encompassing. And it was kind of around like ask what the other person needs and then do that thing for them. That was so huge for us. And we're just, I feel like babies in that journey.
Yeah.
Ashley and I have been together for over 15 years and we're just now learning like, oh yeah, you have things that you want or need and I could just like do those and that would really help you and vice versa. It seems so obvious and yet when we stopped and looked at it, we're like, we do not do this well at all.
Yeah.
So one for me specifically in that category is like planning and kind of communicating expectations ahead of time. There's so many days or weeks where it's like our misses or our disconnection is just because I'm kind of in the moment. I don't like think to plan ahead or to communicate ahead. And for her and her personality, that really helps to know like what's the plan. Or so sometimes even like Saturdays went a lot better because in the morning we'd just be like, all right, here's our plan, and we'd write it on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I just that's not how I operate, but that really helped her, which in turn helped us connect and like be better together. So there were a ton of things in that category.
I bet.
But that's why I like intentions and themes, because it's like it's way more than a goal to me. That's like a whole category that we grew a lot in, and I want to keep
growing in.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Similar to yours, Sunday. Maybe not necessarily.
Just knock over the table.
Long legs.
Kicking stuff.
Look at this.
Just kicking stuff. I know. You
What
really.
to do with my legs. Go ahead. I'm so
My goal is for
sorry.
Sunday to stop kicking me so many times at the table.
Shoot, where did I?
You said similar to you, Sunday.
Oh, yes. A big like learning for me throughout the year was just to have a little bit more room in my schedule. I do better, I think, again, in this season. Maybe this won't be a forever thing, but just having a little bit of room to breathe a little bit, whether it's a day off here and there or half days off, which, is interesting, right? Like, I think, not to like use the pandemic as always this like, this big thing that changed so many things for all of us. But I think it's true. I think my capacity pre-pandemic is very different than my capacity post-pandemic, and just like learning, like, what does that look like for me? What does that look like for my family and my marriage and that kind of thing? So that was another piece that stood out to me, is like, I tend to do a little bit better when I have a little bit of room,
more room
on the calendar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you to me are always front of mind when people talk about this new like hybrid culture. What does it look like? What's the new workplace expectations? I always think of you first because of that that was a shift that you made and played around with and tested in different ways. That was, to me, just the perfect example. Like, we had this factory system idea of 9 to 5 in at your cubicle, quote unquote, you know, metaphorically, like sit at your cubicle from this time to this time, these many days a week. And it's like, we all just assume that's the way it has to be. And it's like, whoever said that's the way it has to be?
Right.
Sure, maybe on an assembly line, but even some like assembly line companies challenged that and said people can work different hours and make up their own hours, and it worked.
Work the hours that work best for you.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, Jacqueline, you were such a great example to me because you tried some things that were unconventional that actually helped improve your work output and your like satisfaction and happiness in the process.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's great. You know, why wouldn't anyone want that? Yeah. But it took kind of saying like, oh, maybe this could work a little differently. Yeah. And I mean, we hear so many leaders and teams trying to figure out hybrid culture. We need to do an episode on it, honestly, because there's so many questions around it, and it's tricky. It's like a whole new frontier.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
And I don't think people are going to just land on it from one try. I think it's just going to be one of those things that we know the world has changed. We've tried a few new things. Some things are working, some things are not. We still got to keep learning.
Yeah.
My last one is so just fun. I learned that Italian food in Italy is nothing like Italian food here.
Yeah.
It blows your mind how wonderful it is. I actually thought that I would like get really fat in Italy. It was my first really special international trip with my husband. But the pasta is only a fistful, and that's an opener, and it's lots of vegetables, lots of olive oil, lots of like fish, and it was wonderful, and it was just so savory.
Yeah.
And so my learning was that it opened my mind to what really delicious food tasted like, and how do I also replicate that in my home.
Yeah.
Leave it to Americans to flip the funnel. We're going to make an entree with 8 gallons of pasta.
I know. Remember when you and I went to Stella's?
The like, what is it? The bottomless
pasta bowl that's like could feed 5 people.
But what was the Olive Garden bottomless dish or something?
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, what was that?
You can just keep getting fettuccine Alfredo.
Keep getting
but the first one was already like
huge,
a gallon.
Right.
That's funny.
So it was a fun learning.
That was a really fun learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, now we're moving on to what are our
goals
3
and
intentions.
All right, so
goals.
one of my goals is more live music.
One of your it's a fun one. Boom.
I just realized how much I care about it and how much I missed it when it was kind of gone for a while, and I've been going to more lately, and I think there's something about it that just like so like feeds my soul. I just love live music, and but it feels this season of life for me, I have to get really intentional or it won't happen. It's hard to just
like if you want to see Taylor Swift,
right?
It's just not
with
even
my
possible.
Swifties.
I know, and we know you want to.
Yeah.
But like it's just not happening. You have to way prepare for that ticket in advance. Yeah, but you definitely light up when you have gone to a concert.
I want to see Joe more live. Joe, when are you playing? When and where are you playing? Are you in a band right now?
No.
Can you please be in a band? Do you want to start a band?
Yeah, you want to? Is
Joe,
that a goal for 2023?
But also, Joe, did you learn anything this year? Did you learn anything, Joe? He's like, you guys did not tell me that.
Poor Joe.
Was there anything you learned? I just thought I'd spontaneously ask you. Joe, do people know who Joe is?
It's a hard one for new.
Who is Joe?
Joe makes this podcast
No,
happen.
I'm the random voice.
I'm feeling for you right now, Joe, because as a newer business owner, there's like literally 60,000 things.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to choose one.
Yeah, there's so many. There's just a lot that I didn't know 3 years ago. And a lot that I even knew but wasn't feasible at that season. Like I was new in business. I had to just hustle, and things that were good in the first couple years aren't what I want my life to look like for the next 3 years. And so to your point, Steve, there's so much that's in that unpack, but that's like the summary of it.
Yeah, it's good.
Thank you, Joe Wise. Always filled with such wisdom. Well, I'll share my goal. It's in general, it's under the intentions of health, just health in general. But health and fun, by the way, are my just 2 goals for 2023.
I love that.
Better health, more fun.
Yeah.
And I could just end it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But around the health area and fun together, a goal that Adam and I have is instead of our date nights being going out to eat, we would really like our date nights to be cooking something we've never cooked together before. So
I love that.
We would like to alternate. I pick something and already have the recipe decided, and then it's his week. So at home, we're learning to cook healthier, but something fun and new, and taking turns. And I just really am excited about that because
That's really fun. I love that.
So that's it.
Cool. And it does like tie the two together.
Yep.
Yeah. Do y'all like the process of cooking together? Like,
We
are you
do.
a good like kitchen team?
I'm a little more chatty.
No.
No, we're shocked by that.
I thought she did it in silence the whole time.
That's
So the only
funny.
small part that's frustrating is when he's like doing his, let's say, measurement or whatever.
Yeah.
He just concentrates so much that sometimes he might disappear on me for a good 10 minutes. And I'm like, hello.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a little frustrating, but
so
he's learning. He's learning to do things like, and yes. And
To remind you he's still there.
Well,
Yeah.
he's still, just remind me you're still there.
That's so funny.
But it's probably why I always keep music on in the background because silence is fine.
is it?
Is it? She struggled to say that.
That was tough.
Because
That was
silence
tough.
is, I guess,
fine. I know.
okay. Sometimes.
Yeah.
I love it
Oh,
because,
man.
on Myers-Briggs,
That's so
I
good.
teeter on the T and F.
Right.
Yep.
T and F. And I really do feel that. Like, I think that too.
I think it.
And
I feel it.
Yep. Isn't it funny? Certain
funny.
companies, it's always, I think. And then others, it's like, I feel
feel.
like, I feel.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway,
What were you saying?
I had 2022, maybe this is my other learning, I guess.
Oh
I
God, he's
had,
slipping
like-
into another one.
So you and I,
Such a
Sunday,
life
we
learner.
traveled to see a client, to work with a client, and we joked about how the entire driving and flying and waiting in security was like talking. We talked nonstop.
Or mostly I did. Yeah, I know.
And then like coming back from the holiday break, me and Ashley in the car for 14 hours never said a single word. And both were great. It kind of like both fed different
so
needs.
Funny.
So
That's such an
Actually, I remember
interesting
the moment very clearly
observation.
because it was the Atlanta airport and it was a long freaking line, like long. And
The security,
the security line,
line.
just to even
Yeah.
get to the point where you like got to the security part.
Yeah.
So at the very end, I think Steve so sweetly said to me, I've never talked to someone the entire security line. I was like, oh God.
Oh my gosh,
But
that's
yeah, it really.
so
and I
funny.
said it. I was like, "No, it's not a diss. It's actually just like funny
It's just
because I
funny.
enjoyed this too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just not my norm."
Made it go
That is
fast,
So
I like
funny.
your intentions. Okay, mine. I'm copying. I've never copy pasted 20. Wait, did you already do one yet?
No, you have,
No,
you have to
I
share
haven't
your
Go
goal.
yet.
ahead, Jacqueline. Do a.
Definitely similar to, I'm going to follow the theme of like more, like what's the thing you want to do more of. And another theme that came up when I was looking through my one line a day was I just love being outside. It's so clear. Like anytime that I spent any time outside,
Yeah.
that was like the
good
thing
day.
that I wrote down. And it was a good,
Good
day.
day.
So I'm like, okay, more time outside. I don't know. I mean, I have some ideas of what that looks like. I love to be in the garden. I love walks. Jonathan and I love to go hiking. But I think that there's
And
like
on
other ways.
long bike rides.
Yes. Yes.
That we
Oh, I don't know about this
underestimated
one.
our
I
time
didn't tell you
over.
that
No.
story.
God.
Oh my gosh. Do we have time? I can
For their
tell it real
anniversary.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. For our anniversary, we weren't going to be able to celebrate on our actual anniversary. So I took a Friday off from work, and so did Jonathan. And here in Richmond, Virginia, we have a trail that's called the Capitol Trail, and it goes like all the way east and all the way west. And I forget, it's like, I think it's like maybe 150 miles, but there's lots of fun little stops along the way. Like a lot of people will either like bike the whole thing or they'll do part of it. And so we were like, this would be so fun. We should bike the Capitol Trail because, Jonathan had just gotten a bike. And so we were like, well, we'll do part of it. And we had heard that you could bike to a winery on the trail. The winery is Upper Shirley here in Virginia. So we're like, oh, that'll be so sweet. Like we'll bike to the winery, we'll get a bite to eat, and then we'll bike
And a drink.
back. And a drink. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But we didn't like plan great. And that is not uncommon for us because we talked about this
Well, you
a little
planned
bit.
amazing for
We
work.
planned amazing, but
for
we
work,
didn't.
you never, you know what I mean? Like, so it's really funny that you dropped this ball.
Right. Like it was almost like such a blind a blind side to the plan of understanding how far the bike ride was going to be.
I thought that's where you're going.
It ended up being 20 miles round trip, and we did not have snacks packed. And when we got to the winery, they had closed the kitchen, and we didn't have enough water. And it was literally dark on the trail coming home, and we were so exhausted. And it was not great. So maybe not 20-mile bike trips. Maybe more like 3 to 5 miles is probably more speed. So maybe
I wouldn't have even made it.
Adam
and I would have been like, we quit right here. We're gonna just put our thumb out. And someone's gonna call a cab for us or something because I'm not doing this.
It was tough. We definitely were very quiet on the way back. There was not a lot of speaking because we were like, we just have to get through this. It was not great. It was not great. So plan ahead, friends. Always pack snacks.
And yes.
Why did I not pack snacks? That was a bad call.
That's
so anyways,
good. But
more
point,
time outside. My intention, more time outside, not 20-mile bike rides.
Yeah. I like that one. All right. My intention.
Steve.
Okay. I was saying I'm copy pasting from 2022. I always have a broader theme, which we call intentions here. People might call it other things. And it's usually different every year, and I pick one. And last year I had 2, marriage and money, and this year it's the same. I'm doing it again because it went so well.
It's just marriage and money minus health and fun. This just feels really
It's just funny.
And I'm like, gosh, there's just so much more to do here. So I'm keeping those, and there's different specifics under each. But I think for me, it was the realization that like the whole pandemic timeline for me took a lot of hits on our marriage relationship and on our financial life. And so both were kind of like, I think last year, maybe it was more of a repair mindset. This year, I think because intentions work so well, when you simplify, it was like, oh man, we made a lot of progress in both. So I want to kind of keep it going and grow from there.
Yeah, it's good.
But I always feel this tension, like on the podcast, I want to say some specifics, but we also just don't have the time. So, happy to share those. If anyone's like, say more. Like,
Joe, let us know.
Let us know. On Instagram.
Yeah, let us know if you want to hear more.
Right. DM me if you want the specifics.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be too vague, But
for sure.
Anyway.
For sure.
But sometimes that's the beauty of intention sometimes too, is it's thematic, and then there's sometimes many details that go underneath the themes.
Yeah, and it can kind of evolve throughout the year, but it's always this thing that's top of mind or that you're trying to like be intentional about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my next one, you guys aren't going to be surprised about because I've been talking about it, but did nothing because of overworking last year. So this year, I will do stand-up comedy. I will. So the first thing I want to do is take a summer class on the stand-up because I've already done improv. And
where do you do that?
Coalition. A Coalition is like a little theater downtown. And then
Here in Richmond?
Here in Richmond. Will do.
Oh, I love this.
And then at the Sandman, I think it's called, every Sunday night, they just have open mic night. And I think I would at least like every other Sunday, just to make it a rhythm for me, to just go watch other comics struggling, trying, supporting each other, and then finally just get up there, not invite any friends or family, you know what I mean, until I've just gotten some guts. Because
now that she said it, like all these listeners are going to be there.
That's right. The Richmond people are going to be like, maybe if I show up at open mic night on Sunday, or you two will be like, oh, we just randomly popped by.
We just were
There's
checking
like
it
a
out.
pack of listeners from Kansas. They travel together. They're like, we're here. They got T-shirts. Like, go Sunday. No.
Go Sunday.
Man.
So, and then also around that, so it's the class, to go to the open mic, and then keep writing. I have a great list of stories and things to tease out, but I just need to keep the writing up. That's it.
Yeah. Love that.
Big fan of those.
Yeah. My next one is just like the word that keeps coming to mind is just like smaller. Like I think I did a lot of things kind of big this year.
Yeah.
And I think that catered to the needing to take some breaks. And so I think just doing things a little bit smaller. I know that's vague, but I think like across the board, maybe not needing to do everything.
It's a good
big
word to check in with yourself in many categories.
Yes. Yeah. I think so.
Dream small, Jacqueline.
Dream small.
Wait, that is so funny.
What's your dream this year?
Just
To dream smaller.
small.
I have to give credit where it's due. That is Ashley's idea. She's had this idea for a long time. She wants to do the Dream Small conference.
Oh, I love that.
I'm like a dream big person, and
Yeah.
she's like a more in the specifics person.
She would
Yeah.
attract a whole group of people.
Oh, it would be huge. It would be
That
so
just
much
wanna
better
dream
than the
small.
Dream Big conference, because
Yeah.
she's just like, I don't know. I just feel like I want to like dream small.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I love that. I love that. She and I could
see, you're
have
already
a
buying
whole.
tickets.
I like the way-
I know. I'm ready to
Watch
go.
out, listeners. She wrote that one down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. My last one is daily back exercises.
Oh, yeah.
Mine is like
Yeah.
not always on the laptop. Oh yeah, getting some
Joe
love
is
from Joe.
excited. Yeah.
I've been on that grind for a couple years now.
Yeah.
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 Tell
Yeah.
them to do these back exercises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so big. It's like I just
But
realized.
it's really small.
Yeah. Well, that was my learning, I guess. I just realized how many other things in life that affects. And that is part of my journey. I do want to share this story this year. Like my journey of leaving corporate to entrepreneurship has so much to do with like health and daily habits. I never talk about it, but it's like you cannot live in the corporate world and change some of these things. So like
Yeah.
getting up and moving around more during the day, not always being at my laptop, more time like creating
Yes.
and speaking. Like I'm gonna do a lot more guest podcasting this year and stuff. Like those things that are not just great for greenhouse or whatever, but also for me have a lot to do with moving during the day and physically not being like a laptop hermit.
I want to make sure that our corporate listeners feel hope
No.
after that comment.
I want them to feel no hope.
Because you can, actually. You couldn't, but you can
Yeah.
make small changes throughout your day to have better
for
health
sure.
and
Sure.
to make it the day in life you want to. But it's harder.
Yeah.
You know,
And there
it's
are
harder.
limits.
Yeah, there's
there are
limits.
absolutely ceilings.
Yeah.
Like I've even coached certain people. I'm like, let's try to see if we can change this.
I know.
And like we live in certain systems that cap our abilities to
Yep.
do things. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, my last one is a dream big one. So
Yeah.
mine is to, Jacqueline and Steve both know that I have a dream of doing a TED Talk or something like that. So this year I just want to write what the talk is. It doesn't mean I have to deliver it, but I have a lot of different experiences and learning and themes that are super exciting to me that I think are unique and different, but I've never like put something down into maybe one talk. And I really want to have that figured out this year. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that I can do that thing.
Yeah. I love that. That's such a good one.
that one is so cool because anyone who knows you're like us, we know.
Oh my
we,
gosh.
we already know what that talk is even.
I know.
And it's like,
Yeah.
yes, do it.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It is hard as a coach when you feel like you give that signature talk 9 times a week to
You're like,
clients
is that the
one-on-one,
exciting one?
and it's life changing to them.
Yeah.
But like it was only that one person got to experience it. I think that's
Yeah.
part of it too, not to speak for you, but it would be cool to see more people benefit from
Yes.
Yeah.
some of those pieces of.
That's really the whole point of the loving of speaking is that a large group of people, because I have had my life changed by talks.
Yeah.
Usually it's one or two
totally,
things. It's but
totally.
it's like, boom, you either inspired me in this way or I learned that new thought or concept and it applied to my life. And I just would like to have something to deliver to the world. That sounds so
Yeah.
awful.
No, I love yeah, that's
That
good.
is maybe gives one or two changes in a positive way to someone's life. That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah. You know, it's fun. This whole conversation is just spurring on so many other like thoughts and ideas. So it's fun to kind of chat through it. But my last one is totally like, or not indulgent, but it's just like a fun one that is different for me. I feel like I tend to be very linear when I think about like intentions and goals, and it's all like, you know, personal development, professional growth. But this one that just keeps coming back to mind, and this is a total plug for Ashley, but Steve's wife does, she has a House of Color business, which means that she helps people find their best colors. And she also talks about style. And that was so much fun for me this past year. I got to learn that I'm a spring and I learned more about my style. And I just want to like do more of that this year as far as like wear things that I actually like and not just like buy the jeans that I see everyone else wearing on Instagram.
Yeah.
I know.
Because wide leg jeans just don't
They
look
just
good on
don't.
me.
They're just not right on me.
not.
So why am I buying
shoot.
jeans that
I bought
aren't
you
actually
some-
right for me?
I found some Jinkos on eBay and I got them for both of you.
Thank you so much.
What are Jinkos?
You don't remember Jinkos?
No.
Those wide leg tube jeans
Yeah.
in the like early 2000s, late 90s? I don't know.
Really?
Huge legs.
Late
Yeah.
90s?
I thought you were trying to say gauchos because
God,
that was
that
a vibe
was good
too. Those were like stretchy
And there's like a
wide.
remake of the gaucho.
I know, and I'm
So,
again
yeah,
not a great
me
look
neither.
on me. But anyways, I want to just like this. It sounds silly, but it's important. Like I just want to wear things that I actually like.
Love it.
What
I think
a
it's cool.
concept! Yeah,
Because we were saying, of
Yeah.
course, over the break, seeing some other family and friends that came up a lot because it's a new
Yeah.
business she has. And
Yeah.
I would always step in and do a plug for her. I'm like, it's not even made for men, but like it's changed my life.
Yeah.
I get compliments on the weekly now from
Yeah.
strangers like, oh, that looks great. Oh, nice. I never got compliments before. And it's kind of fun to also know, like, to know what to buy or to know what to
Yeah.
put on
Yeah.
in the morning. Kind of
well,
cool.
and even I think it's just helped my like overall confidence. Like it's given me agency over, you know, I think especially for women, it's, you know, just easy to look at what everyone else is wearing.
Or
and,
to just wear black.
yeah, exactly. So it's like to decide what I want to wear, what I like, what looks good on me. It's a fun, it's been a sweet thing. And I just,
Wanna do more of it.
of that. Yeah.
Can I just close by asking
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah. Joe,
Joe's like,
tell
oh
us.
God, Sunday. You know, do you have just one goal that's been top of mind for you for 2000?
yeah.
This is a couple year ago. Me would be disappointed in this, but we did too much, like personally traveling and stuff this past year.
We noticed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was sick the entire fall from running myself down. And so there's just a lot that are important to us, and like trying to grow business and have a lot of out of town family and want to do trips,
Yeah.
and it's a lot. So we're trying to do a better job of planning out the year and spacing things out. And trying to govern ourselves a little bit, which
This is-
is
I love the
killing me to
face.
say
I love
this.
I know.
This is so painful.
I wish y'all could see his face right
But-
now.
So
but I
since
just
everyone
can't
doesn't
do
get to hear from Joe as much as us, Joe loves.
Turning on the
Oh
camera.
my
Turn on
gosh.
the camera.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, Joe,
But I love
Joe,
that phrase that you just use, govern ourselves. That sounds a lot like what you shared that your son mentioned about himself. Just
leading himself.
Leading himself. I love that.
Absolutely.
There it is.
There it is. Hey,
This is Joe.
This is
So,
Joe. Look at
here I
him.
am.
I know, Joe. Because, yeah, Steve.
And if you're not seeing Joe right now, you need to get on our YouTube channel.
I know, right?
So
Give it a good
Joe
plug.
is an adventurer and likes
Yeah.
to travel and see new things and places. And so that's why it's killing you to say that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so painful.
Because
Yeah.
that's actually a part of your life vision and goal is to like travel a lot. And you were doing that,
Yeah.
but you're like, oh, maybe that was a little much.
Apparently, there can be a little bit too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Oh, my goodness.
That's another thing.
I'm feeling you, man.
An Enneagram 7 doesn't like saying that.
No.
Are you
gluttonous.
officially a 7?
Are you a 7?
Yeah, officially.
Okay.
He's owning it.
Well, I have no idea what that even means. Like, I'm stamped in as a 7.
That's
I can't ever change.
Those sevens are hysterical because they're the one number that really just doesn't ever want
not
to be
a number.
any number. We're like, no.
They hate being labeled as one thing.
Well, thank you for sharing,
Yeah,
Joe.
yeah,
Thank you.
it's good. Good.